Is this what we're doing now?
Yeah, go ahead.
So we're cleaning up the cobwebs in our farmhouse, well, in the basement. It was originally built, we think, about 1840. Trying to get official history, but there's a lot of people that have lived here a long time around here that know of this house back before the Civil War. And during the Civil War, troops stopping here to refresh the horses with the spring that's beside the farmhouse. So as we're starting to get more comfortable and explore in the basement here, we've got the spring comes into the basement here in these containments. And for reference, this is the main road is just a few feet off of this wall. And this is below grade actually. So like, I'm 6'4" for reference, and you got another like 6 inches to the bottom of the beam, and that's probably about level, if not the top of this beam, level with the ground outside. So that's how far we are below ground here. And of course this eventually leads to a walkout. Now what we're trying to understand here is some of the layout of the house. We're very familiar with owning old homes. Our other log home is about the same vintage, about 1850 with an 1875 expansion. Somebody built out on it in 2007. But this is pretty much all 1840 with just some minor cosmetic updates. Electric and everything is very vintage. With some unique things like they would drill through the logs on the corners and around them as if this was going to be a finished basement. You can see here there's newer wiring that's just kind of attached, but that's not generally the case here. So it has an old oil heat system, which actually works really well. It's not expensive to heat this house. By comparison, the other home was rather expensive. Anyway, so we have here at the base, we've got a large chimney. This is the base going up to the main floor, second floor, and then through the third floor attic space, which could be livable if you wanted. We're looking at these walls, and you can see how thick they are. I mean, this goes into the outside wall there. This is every bit of 3 feet thick. But we found it's pretty interesting in some spaces trying to figure out the layout is the beams don't go all the way to the sill. They stop shy of it, and I'm not quite sure why. I'll have to do some more investigating. But right now, as we look at this waterway, I mean, like this slopes outward towards the road and 6 feet below. Anyway, you got crystal clear cold water that flows in.
Okay, shine your light in there.
Yeah, I'm not sure how deep that is. It's clear. And then you've got this table here, which has a pipe embedded. It's got a pipe built in to go outside, and then this whole area has a containment that Lindsay backs up here. You'll see it has a riser or a wall for containment, and then a pipe that goes out to the creek that runs through the farm. This side of the property has, even though we're on top of a mountain, we've got a pretty high water table here, which is rather interesting. So anyway, the other interesting thing is there's another pool back here with a center block in. I'm not sure how deep that is, but I mean, at this point, we're deep underneath of the front porch of the house, and we're trying to determine, as you can imagine, you know, a house that's almost 200 years old has got quite a bit of secrets and innovations, and long before building code, people just did what they needed to do and built off of old knowledge and what old world stuff that worked. But sometimes you've got to really do some digging to see what's what. This pipe here that's blocking me is our septic discharge from the house. So it goes through this wall, and our septic tank and leach field is out in the to the front of the house, of the property. And there's a clean out up there. There's a pipe here that feeds a frost-free spigot out in the front yard. And as I'm looking at this, I see like 2 other previous spigot lines. God knows how old they are. This is pretty rotted piece here. But like I said, this wall space here that I'm looking at to my left is a huge walkout underneath of the front porch. So this piece here is outside. It's not a structural thing for as far as the house. I'm not really worried about these couple beams here. Somebody did that. I mean, those are huge beams. You know, that was probably done 1840-ish. They just dug it out and put beams over it. For them, you know, this whole area was very heavily wooded, so they didn't have to worry about it too much. But I can see that that is something I'm going to have to address in the future, because from the porch standpoint, there's wood planks like a traditional porch all the way up to, you know, somewhere on this wall, and then there's this kind of like broken concrete that's up there. So now I have a better understanding that we've cleaned this out of what's going on. And we'll show that in another video, kind of splice it in to show what that's like. But from an engineering standpoint, rather unique what they've done here. By comparison, we've looked at a lot of old homes. We've always been interested in old homes. I've grown up in old homes, and so as Lindsay. But we were looking at one off of 194 near Tawnytown years back that belonged to a mill family, and it was right on the waterway. Unique property that all of the beams, floor beams or planks were wide, like 12 to 16, 18 inches wide throughout the entire house. It was amazing. But in the basement, what started out as a light French drain with all of your utilities, kind of your heating systems on an island in the middle, what would be a wet floor to the left starting in. By the time you got to the other side, it was free flowing water running out to the spring. So a lot of these old homes are centered around access to water. So in this aspect, this was meant as an early refrigerator. Obviously, tapping into the ground level, below ground level, it maintains, you know, roughly 58, 60 some odd degrees down here. It's not cold at all once you get acclimated. You know, if you're coming from upstairs where it's warmer, it's definitely in the 60s down here. But the water is cold. So if you had food in glass containers,
Crockware.
Or crock stoneware, you could definitely, you know, keep your stuff cold without any interference from animals or the weather, anything like that. So here we are in 2026 now, and it still works. If we were going to use that, we might give it a shot just to give it a go, see what it's like. Well, thanks for tuning in.